Hello student, welcoming all to our channel Sivonia classes. Today we are going to start a new series on polity, Indian polity. Why polity? Why we need to learn polity? Because if you see most of the competitive exam in India, they are asking questions on Indian polity. Not just on exam point of view. As a citizen of this country, we need to understand what is the governance model of India, what are the structure of Indian governance, government. So for this reason also we need to learn Indian polity. So let's start our session. What is polity? Polity is polity deals with the functioning of the government of the country, functioning of the government of this country. Suppose, so let's see in India, there are three main organs. One is judiciary, one is legislative, and another one is executive. What is legislative? Legislative, parliament, parliament comes under legislative. In parliament, three parts: president, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. Similarly, executive, prime minister, councils of ministers, all are coming under executive. Judiciary, Supreme Court, High Court, subordinate court, all this comes under judiciary. So we need to learn in-depth understanding of these executive, legislative, judiciary. So all this comes under polity. So we need to learn polity. Okay. So in this series we are going to cover all these topics one by one. Okay. So I don't want to waste much time, so let's go to our main chapter. So we are starting with the salient feature of the constitution. Later we will cover also making of the constitution. So we will go one by one. So if you like this video, please give like, share and subscribe. So let's start. In this session we are covering the chapter number 2, salient feature of constitution. What is constitution? Constitution is the fundamental law of a country. Fundamental law of a country. So nothing is more important than the constitution. Okay. All other law or customs should be adhered to the constitution. So we shouldn't do anything that violates our constitution. So constitution is supreme. Constitution is supreme. Whatever law the legislator makes, it has to be according to the constitution. So constitutionality, this validation is done by the even Supreme Court. So every law we make has to be according to the constitutional framework. Okay. What are the salient features of our constitution? We have 17 features. Let's check one by one. Okay. Lengthiest written constitution. We have lengthiest written constitution. Here is the keyword, written constitution. So you will ask, is there any constitution which has not been written? Yes. In Britain they don't have any written constitution. They don't have any written constitution. So where the written constitution are there? In USA, Canada, USSR and Germany, India, we have written constitution. So when the constitution was framed in 1949, we have 395 articles. 395 articles divided with 22 parts and 8 schedule. Okay, what is the schedule? Schedule gives extra information. We can say it's like this appendix, annexures, right? So there are, suppose you need some more information, so that's why a schedule is been made. Okay, there are schedules, we'll learn one by one. Okay, so And now we have 470 articles. Earlier it was 395, now 475 articles. Then someone will ask me, what is the 396th article? There is no 396th article, because all articles after 395 are added like in A form. Suppose 21A, okay, 21A, 51A, likewise. So the number 1 to 395 is fixed. It is kept adding new articles. So there is no articles beyond 395, okay, but the total number is 470, and it is divided in 25 parts and 12 schedule, okay, 12 schedule. Like 11th schedule we have Panchayat Raj, 12th schedule we have municipalities. All these are having added. This uh, in the initial days, these two schedules were not there. They came after 1990. Okay. So why we have the bulky constitution? Why? Because the vastness of India and the diversity. You know that India is really a vast country, and it has diversified. So according to our need, according to our requirement, according to fulfill the aspiration of each and every state, we framed our constitution. Naturally, it should be in bulky. It should be the like this constitution. And we might know that the constitution, our constitution stands on the framework of Government of India Act 1935. So this Government of India Act 1935 itself was like this. So obviously, when we take the reference or we build our constitution on the basis of the Government of India Act, so it becomes bulky. Third thing is, we have a single constitution. We have a single constitution. No double constitution is there. Earlier in Kashmir, they had the constitution, but recently, you know that they have nullified, I think. So single constitution. If you see in USA, they don't have the single constitution. They have two constitutions. One for the Union, USA, and for each provinces they have their separate constitution. Okay, they have their separate constitution. Next thing is dominance of lawyers in the Constitution Assembly. Constituency Assembly, uh, where the Constitution framers were sitting and framed our Constitution, it was dominated by the lawyers. So from B.R. Ambedkar to Nehru, all are lawyers. So it was a criticism that due to this dominance of lawyers, our constitution became bulky. Okay. The next thing is, okay, so we need to know all parts. As I told, the all parts, there are 22 parts, and obviously X, I, V, A has been added. So if you add these things, if you add 9A, 9B, if you add this, now we have 25 parts. But if someone asks, it is 22 parts. So we'll study one by one. But we will study union, citizen, fundamental right, DPSP, all the things one by one. So we don't want to waste time by reading all these things, just reading out in this slide. So we'll learn in the separate classes. Okay, these are the all parts. Again, there are schedules. There is the first schedule. First schedule said the name of the states and UTs, Union Territory. So some new states suppose get formed. So it has to be amended here. First schedule. Second schedule says the list of the salaries of officials. Suppose our president, judges, audit, AG, and you can say UPSC chairman, all are getting salary, drawing salary. So how much they will get is mentioned in second schedule. The third schedule is tells about the oath and affirmation they take during their oath ceremony. Have you seen that the Prime Minister takes oath, the ministers takes oath? So what they read? They read what is mentioned in the third schedule. Fourth schedule says the allocation of seats in Rajya Sabha. You know that there are two houses. One is Lok Sabha and is Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha indirectly elected from the assemblies of their respective state. So which state will send how many people? It is decided by the fourth schedule. Okay, so likewise there are schedules, so you have to remember this schedule. The MCQ in exam they ask the schedule. The Panchayat Raj system are placed in which schedule? So 11th schedule. You have to remember and tell. Okay. The next thing is drawn from various sources. So many people criticize even that our constitution was drawn from various sources. Okay, but B.R. Ambedkar, the founder of the drafting committee, the chairman of the drafting committee of the constitution, proudly acclaimed that the constitution of India has been framed after ransacking all the known constitutions of the world. So we made our constitution 1946 onwards. Okay, 1946 to 1949. So till time there are many constitutions in the world, just like USA, USSR, Australia, Canada, Germany, okay, Ireland. So all have their constitution. So our founding father read all this constitution and take the best which is suited for our requirement. Okay, which is suited for our requirement. So our constitution has three parts. One is structural part, one is philosophical part, and is political part. The structural part based on Government of India Act 1935. Government of India Act 1935, what does it? There will be a government in the union, there will be government in the provinces, there will be governor posted. All these things came from this 1935 Act. Okay. And the philosophical part means whatever the vision, what we want from the constitution, what the constitution gives back to the citizen. These are the fundamental right and DPSP, Directive Principle of State Policy. We have separate chapter, we will study that. But fundamental rights come from the American, USA Constitution, and Directive Principle of State Policy comes from Irish Constitution. Directive Principle of State Policy means it gives a template to the next government that you should do these things. Okay, we'll learn. Political part means there is a legislative, there is a executive. What is the relation between the legislative and executive? The Council of Ministers are responsible to the Lok Sabha. How this comes? From British Constitution. Okay, there is a cabinet. All these things come from the British Constitution. Just like British, they have the crown, they have the king or queen and their prime minister. We have our president and prime minister. They have the prime minister of Britain is the real executive. Here also prime minister of India is the real executive. Our president is the nominal head, and their king or queen are also the nominal head. Okay, so the real executive, the real power lies with the president of both in India and the Britain. That comes from the British Constitution. Okay. So as I told you, we have borrowed from several things from other constitution. You have to remember all these things. You have to remember all these things. From Australia, concurrent list. What is concurrent list? There is a union list, there is a state list, there is a concurrent list. Means what are the area, what are the domains that center can pass a law, center can make a law. Suppose on basis of army, military, okay, space research, foreign affairs, all these domains comes under the center. Center can make laws on the basis of these domains. State doesn't have the power to make laws in this. State can make law on their land, police, okay, these things state can make. Concurrent list, both state and center can make the law, but the law made by the center dominant to the laws made by the state. Okay, suppose education. Education, center can make the law, state can make the law. But center's law has dominance over the state law. These are the concurrent list. We'll learn one by one what is concurrent list. So this is the silent feature. This is not the I can say I am teaching the whole chapter here. Okay, these are the silent feature. We'll learn one by one. So you have to remember where these things comes from. Okay, so let's go. So please remember all these things. Next thing is blend of rigidity and flexibility. Okay, so constitution is categorized in two parts. One is rigid constitution and another is flexible constitution. Rigid constitution, what does it mean? That you cannot amend anything to the constitution. You cannot change anything in the constitution. You can change by special provision. Special provision, not ordinarily. You cannot do day-to-day basis. I'll change this in the constitution today, next day this, next day this. No, you cannot do. There is a special procedure. This is rigid. What is flexible? It can be amendment just as the same manner in the other law, ordinary law. Example, rigid constitution, USA. Flexible, Britain. So in Britain, they don't have special provision or special procedure to amend the constitution. They can do by any other law. But in case of USA, they have their special provision. So what our forefather did, they did a synthesis of these two. They neither go for the rigid constitution, nor went for flexible. It is a synthesis of both. Okay, it can be rigid, it can be flexible. How, sir? How can it be rigid, both rigid and flexible? Under Article 368. 368 article says how we can amend the constitution. That says article 368. It says some provision can be amended by special majority of the parliament. Special majority of the parliament, that is 2/3 majority of the members of each house present and voting, and majority of total membership of each house. What does it mean? Suppose Lok Sabha, just take an example of Lok Sabha. Suppose we have 545 members. Okay, on their day there were suppose 300. There were 300 people present. Okay, and 200 people voted for the amendment. Okay, so if you check 200 and 300, yes, is 2 by 3, but these 200 people is not majority of 545. So it has to be, if 545, it has to be 272 plus. Clear? So two things is there. The members, total members are present. Suppose this much, it has to be 2/3 majority, and majority of total membership. Majority of total membership. So it has to be 272 plus, and the members presenting, suppose there are 500, you have to 2/3 into 500 this number. Clear? This is your one. Second thing is, some provisions of, or you can say the some part of the constitution can be amended by a special majority of parliament and with the ratification by half of the total states. Suppose we have 28 states, so it has to be passed by 15 states. Then only we can say it is amendment. Suppose, for example, election procedure of president, it has to be amended by this amendment has to be passed by the special majority of the parliament and with the ratification by half of the total. Clear? Additionally, there are few provisions which can be amended by ordinary legislative process. This doesn't come under 360. Okay, so there are three things. One is special majority, and other thing is special majority plus ratified by half of the total state, and third thing is there are some provisions which can be amended with ordinary legislative process. Okay, so there is an amendment chapter where we can learn all the details. So I am just giving a brief idea. Okay, federal system with unitary bias. Federal system with unitary bias. What is federal system? Federal system means there should be two governments. One for union, other for provinces. Okay, we have that union government and provincial government and state government. Division of power, we have that union list, state list, concurrent list, division of power. We have the written constitution, supremacy of constitution, rigidity of constitution, independent judiciary, bicameralism. These are the features of federation. So we have all the things, but in case of USA constitution says that there is an agreement between their states. They have 50 states, so they have agreement between the 50 states. That means any states can go out from the federation. But in case of India, we don't have that, because there is not a result of agreement between states. It is the union which matters. Okay, there is no states who have the right to secede from the federation. No one can go left. Okay, we have to stay together. Okay, this is the union. So this is unitary in spirit. Okay, one more thing, we have the federal system. Again, it can be made to unitary bias. Suppose the strong center. Strong center means the state hasn't right to go out from the federation. There is a strong center. Single constitution. There is no other constitution. Single citizenship. We have only one citizenship, that is we are the citizen of India. But in case of USA, we have to citizen of USA and the respective provinces. Clear? So we have the integrated judiciary from the top to bottom. Supreme Court is the apex body of the judiciary till the subordinate court. Okay, we have the integrated, and appointment of the state governor, center sending a state governor to supervise the task of the state. So all these things, all India services, IAS, IPS, okay, IFS, all are all India services. They are posted across the India, Okay, so these are the features of non-federal feature. So our governance system is federal in form but unitary in spirit. Unitary in spirit. That is called quasi-federal. Not fully federal, not fully unitary. It is quasi-federal. Clear? Okay. Next thing is parliamentary form of government. There is two forms of government. One form is in democracy, I am saying presidential form of government. One is parliamentary form of government. Presidential government of form of government, example USA. There the people choose the president of the USA. President of the USA. Not actually, by indirectly they are choosing. In case of in India, in case of Britain, they don't choose the prime minister. They choose the member of Lok Sabha. Member of Lok Sabha. In case of India, member of Lok Sabha. In Lok Sabha, who has the majority, they decide who is going to be our prime minister. Okay, so this is the first thing. Presence of nominal and real executive. Who is the real executive? The prime minister. Who is the nominal head? President. President, we can say ceremonial head. So all the executive order are come from the sign of the governor or president, but the real executive lies with the prime minister or the chief minister if you talk about the state, because the prime minister, because the president is bound to the ad and advice of the council of ministers headed by the PM. So what the council of ministers will tell the president has to do, that they are bound. Clear? Majority party rules. Majority party rules, suppose there are 2-3 parties A, B, C. Suppose we have voted for B, so B has the majority. So majority party rules. Clear? Membership of the ministers in the legislature. So anyone wants to become a minister, he can become a minister. Okay? He may be a member of legislature, maybe not, but for only 6 months. 6 months. He or she has to be elected or has to be a member of any house, maybe Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, within 6 months. So membership of the minister in the legislature. Obviously, leadership of the prime minister, the chief minister. Chief minister is the head of the government, you can say real head of the government in state level. Prime minister is the real head of the union government. Dissolution of lower house means, suppose the prime minister resigns, the government fell, and no one is willing to form the government. So then the dissolution of lower house, the Lok Sabha will dissolve, and again election will be done. Clear? And same as assembly. These are the form of parliamentary form of government. Clear? Number 6. Synthesis of parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy. So who has more power, the parliament or judicial? This was the question before our constitutional forefather. So what they did a synthesis of parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy. Because suppose this is we are saying the constitution, right? Constitution is the supreme. So parliament has the power to amend this constitution, right? With the provision 368 article. So parliament sovereignty is there. Again, the Supreme Court can check any law whether it is violating the constitution or not. If it is violating the constitution, it will make it as null and void. It will mean strike out. this comes under a judicial review. So Parliament can amend the constitution. Clear? So in this case, Parliament is the more power, but Supreme Court can strike out any article or any you can say law if it violates the constitution. Clear? So there is a synthesis between parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy. Clear? Next thing is integrated and independent judiciary. We have integrated and independent judiciary. We have one constitution. As per this constitution, whole judiciary systems functions, starting from Supreme Court, High Court, Subordinate Court, District Court, any court you take. Okay, so all works, all performs, all function as per the provision prescribed in the constitution. Clear? So the single system court, Supreme Court, High Court or Subordinate Court, enforce both the central laws as well as the state laws, unlike the USA. In USA, the Supreme Court will act as per the central constitution. Suppose this Texas is one provinces. In Texas, the High Court, provincial court will function as per the constitution of the Texas. Okay, as per the laws in the Texas. Suppose this is one other Washington DC. Suppose this will act, this will perform as per the Washington DC constitution, like this way. Clear? So first thing is integrated. Second is independent. So our constitution framework wanted that there should not be any pressure on the judiciary to perform better. So they want the independence of the judiciary. They didn't want the government to control the judiciary. So what they did several provisions to make the judiciary independent. The first thing is security of tenure. If you in the Supreme Court chapter will learn the maximum age is the judges will be in office. Suppose 62 years or 65 years. 65 years for the Supreme Court, 62 years for the High Court. So there is security of tenure, so no one can displace them. Fixed service condition for the judges. They have their salary will be drawn from the consolidated fund of the India. That is the separate thing. And prohibition of discussion on the conduct of judges in the legislature. In Parliament, inside Parliament, the members of Parliament cannot criticize or cannot even discuss the conduct of judges. What the judges behaves in the court, they cannot discuss. That cannot be discussed in the Parliament. Nothing is ban on practice. A Supreme Court judge or High Court judge, after retirement, they cannot practice. Practice means they cannot be a lawyer again. Okay, they cannot practice. Next thing is power to punish for the contempt vested in the Supreme Court. So suppose Supreme Court made a judgment, we cannot criticize extensively. If you do, it will be a contempt of court and we might be fined in jail. Yeah. Next thing is separation of judiciary and executive. I already told the constitution framework wanted that judicial should be an independent. That's why they minimizes the dominance of the executive on the judiciary. Clear? This is the 7th point we have already discussed. In the next class, we'll discuss rest 9 points. Then this chapter will be covered, and we'll move to the next chapter. So, if this video you like, please share it, comment it, like it. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time. Bye.